of you, of course, were in the modeling industry, and it's kind of different things that motivated you. And I'm going to start with you, Elle. Was modeling one of the things you thought about when you were much younger, because you were a thin, tall girl, and everyone says thin, tall, pretty, model?
No, not at all. Actually, my first big break was the mother of invention, which was necessity, because I was going to law school and I wanted to earn money to buy books, and somebody suggested I do modeling, and so, but I never thought that I would be still working 35 years later.
Yeah, yeah. And did you even really know what that meant? I think we see the end result of modeling on magazines and things, right? But it's a whole lot of work in there.
Yeah, and also in Australia, where I come from, we didn't have like a lot of fashion magazines, and it wasn't, you know, we were not kind of influenced by the fashion world. So I didn't know really what modeling meant. I thought it was sort of walking up and down a catwalk at your local
Mall.
mall. I had no idea that it could be so involved, and that I could create a career that could span, you know, nearly 40 years, and build businesses and travel the world and learn languages and work with fantastic initiatives like I Am Waters.
Yes, and that initiative comes out of something that has been in your heart for a long time, Elena, and remind folks of how you kind of got in the business was necessity as well, but from a different angle.
Yes, I mean, just, you know, landing in Hollywood, having grown up very transient, you know, discovered in a pizza parlor, which everybody in LA, everyone's an agent apparently, and moving on to Europe from there after being introduced to Eileen Ford, and ended up with a 15-year career, which was a lucrative, wonderful career, and ultimately delivered my family and I out of poverty and to a much better life.
Yeah, at first you hid that. You didn't want to talk, you know, and we can say that's kind of the metaphor for a lot of people. When you see someone standing on the street corner with a sign, a lot of us try not to look. And I think the reason why we don't is because we realize that we could be on the other side pretty easily. It doesn't take much to put people on the streets, you know, at times. So, but at first you didn't want to talk about it. You didn't want anybody to know what you had come from. When you say transient, it's like you didn't know from one moment to the next whether you were going to be homeless, and at times you were.
Yeah. Yeah, and I just, you know, the instability of it all. And I think when we pass people, and even now I feel like it, even when I still talk about it, whether you share it or you're passing it on the corner, there's homeless people. I think a part of not wanting to look at it, whether you're looking out at it or having to look back in at it, if you're carrying that, is just the vulnerability. You know, being vulnerable is, it can be really painful, and so we have a tendency to not want to look at it or feel it on the inside of ourselves too. So
I have said this many times before when you've been on the show, that I remember a man who told me when I spent a couple of weeks on the streets homeless, trying to get an idea of how people end up there. And you know, I think there was this idea at one point where people just were lazy or just wanted to not work, and it's mental illness, it's you know, 3 paychecks away from not having a job, it's all kinds of things, right? And it's families, not just, you know, the guy out there. So but I remember the guy saying to me, if people would just make eye contact, it would let me know that I existed. It would let me know that they saw me, right? You've gone a step further with I Am Waters. So remind folks of how you developed this.
So, you know, it came about from driving in Houston. I came to an intersection. A homeless woman approached my car. I thought she was going to ask for money. I got money prepared to hand her. She declined the money and said, "I need water." And it was really this gigantic epiphany that hit me at that intersection via her ask. And it has evolved these 8 years later into this program, which is physical and spiritual hydration. We're the only organization in the United States providing water and a word of inspiration to the homeless.
That's the key right there. And I'll never forget at one of your luncheons, it was a woman who said that she got that bottle and she kept refilling it and refilling it and refilling it because she didn't want to get rid of the bottle because of the power of the words on that bottle.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what inspired me when when Elena asked me if I would come and share the message, because I looked at this and I said, you know, this is so simple and so beautiful, to perhaps have the, you know, that this can also not only help somebody in ill health, but it can be like a lifeline, and also an inspiring message to somebody, just perhaps to even just change their perspective towards hope.
Yeah,
that
and that's what's happened.
that they can change their lives.
You realize that somebody cares, and when that somebody is a stranger, I think sometimes it can even be more powerful. And so it started out with just getting them the water and giving them that lifeline.
Yes.
But you have a different type of lifeline now, because we've also heard folks who've gone, had your water, and have ended up getting off the streets and getting jobs and being back in the game again.
Yes, and we have I Am Jobs. So we did a study on this program with Shrila Sharma from the Public School of Health at UT, and Dr. Bill Roy, who was the former chair of the sociology department at UCLA. And we learned a lot about the homeless that we didn't expect to learn. And it was really the impetus to I Am Jobs. So a lot of homelessness today is driven by joblessness. And so we are, to my knowledge, we're the only job placement organization. So we provide this free of charge through shelters that we work with. Now we provide job mentoring and placement. I mean, actually placing people in jobs, gainful employment, free of charge. And we have wonderful partners, and we're following the same premise and model that we started with I Am Waters, with I Am Jobs, and we're having great success.
Yeah. How can the general public help?
If you are a business owner, you own any type of business, reaching out to I Am Waters at support@iamwaters.com. You know, we love to know about job openings for our candidates. You can make a donation online at iamwaters.org.
And you can
hit
buy
our
your
donate
water
button,
too, right?
and you can buy the water. Yes, so we sell the water at HEB and Whole Foods and Specs, and the foundation, I Am Waters Foundation, owns the company I Am Brands.
Yeah.
So 100% of the net proceeds from the sale of every bottle and case go back to our mission, which is to provide water and jobs to the homeless.
All right.
Isn't that incredible?
Yeah, it is. It's fantastic, because it was such a simple idea that has such a far-reaching
Huge impact.
I'm going to end with I oftentimes get asked by parents, because every parent thinks that their child's the cutest, right? It's like, I want to get my child in modeling. What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? So I was get your best advice and your best advice.
My best advice is the same advice I give my sons, that there's nothing like a strong education as a backup in life, and you can try whatever your dreams are or whatever your hopes are, but it's good to have a plan B, and I think a plan B is a strong academic career.
Do you ever regret not being a lawyer?
Well, I read so much legal contracts, and so much of what I do is legally based, that I feel like I get the best of both worlds.
Yeah. All right, Elena?
I echo Elle's sentiments. I mean, having dropped out in the 8th grade and never completing my education, I'm all about education for my 3 children. And but as far as advice for somebody, wonderful, pursue your passion, pursue your dreams, but again, you don't miss the window for your education, because it will serve you always. And then if you become a universal icon and supermodel such as Elle, you are needing your education, because you're going to have a brand and an empire to manage, and you don't want to do that,
Yeah, lots of contracts.
Yes,
Right?
yes.
And hard work. I think having great representation is important. We both started with Ford Models, and they were fantastic for us. So, finding good representation, if that's something that you want to do, is really important.
I started with Ford too.
There you go.
That was
All three
my
of us.
first car. All right. Ladies, thank you very much.